pray for us to start us off. Father, we want to give you our lives. We want to honor you with our lives, Lord. Lord, I pray for this time and each heart gathered to be an encouragement and just a light of your way. Lord, may we honor you through this time and just be a blessing to each other. Obviously more than just this time, but to each moment that we get to spend as a people and to work as one under you, Lord. Lord, we are each encouraged by your work, and may we continue to draw closer and closer to you, and what that means. What it means to be in relationship with you, Father, because we are your sons. Bless your name. Amen. Okay, we are on letter 6 today. Isabella, do you want to read it, or you don't really? It's up to you. Do you want to read the letter today? No?
I can read a version.
You want to read this version? Okay. You can take your time with it. So it's just letter 6
Do I just read
today.
the whole thing, or do I stop in the middle?
Do you want to just read half of it?
I can read the whole thing, I just don't
Sure.
know.
Yeah.
Okay. The true source of peace is in the surrender of the will. Live in continued peace, but understand that peace does not depend upon the fervor of your devotion. The only thing you need to be concerned about is the direction of your will. Give that up to God without reservation. The important question is not how religious you are or how devoted, but rather, is your will in harmony with God's? Humbly confess your faults. Learn to be detached from the world and completely abandoned to God. Love Him more than yourself and His glory more than your life. The least you can do is to desire and ask for such a love. God will then pour out upon you that special love which only His children know, and He will give you His peace.
Did you want to read the other one?
Sure. It's a lot. It's pretty similar. So.
Mm-hmm.
The true source of peace is in the surrender of the will. Remain in peace. The fervor of devotion does not depend upon yourself. All that lies in your power is the direction of your will. Give that up to God without reservation. The important question is not how much you enjoy religion, but whether you desire whatever God wills. Humbly confess your faults. Be detached from the world and abandoned to God. Love Him more than yourself, and His glory more than your life. The least you can do is to desire and ask for such a love. God will then love you and put His peace in your heart.
It's interesting how that's the difference in when I was talking about the religious part. It was like, do not enjoy. That's very interesting. Kind of
That's
like
what I thought too.
like thinking about religion and how a lot of it is people are going about it is like in a way of like almost like how we want to serve the Lord or how we enjoy that.
And that way religion becomes man's own culture instead of God's culture.
Right. It's interesting. Yeah, I was actually just talking to Jaden last night about this first line where it says live in continued peace. We're talking about the highs and lows of life, and like finding that like balance of how you respond emotionally to things like that. So like if you're in highs or lows, depending on which season of life you're in, staying in that peace mindset, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, I think me and Jane were mostly just saying how much we desire that and desire that balance. But
I feel like that's not emotional though, because I feel like we can have peace even when our emotions are not at peace. You know?
yeah, well, it's not being affected by your emotions is what I
Yeah.
was trying to say.
Yeah,
Because
I see,
like the
not
highs
being
and lows
swayed
of
by our emotions.
right, the highs and lows of life can depend on like where we are emotionally too.
Yeah.
Like if we're in a really low place, we could be very sad or
Mhm.
mad or whatever, you know, and not being controlled by those emotions.
Mhm.
But yeah, I see what you're saying
Yeah.
too. But have you guys ever like even in your own self found almost a balance of that? Like I'm not saying we were like all there perfect and we were always in that balanced way, but like have you ever found yourself like able to like kind of come higher than your emotions and even lows and the lows in your life, like, you know what I mean? Is that something you guys feel like you've even practiced or
That's something that I've recognized I need to grow in. That's something that I've recognized in a scenario before, which is a step on its own, because in a low of life, like, it's a step to even realize that you need to come higher than that when you're in the moment of feeling that low. So I'm at the point where now I can often recognize it, but actually doing it is a whole other thing. So I've only rarely done that.
recognition is a great place to start though.
Something that I am encouraged about is that when I am in the most distress, God is the place that I find, like, that I go to in my mind. So that is encouraging to me, even when sometimes I still don't feel at peace. When I don't have that peace, I think it's at least a step to at least be coming to God about whatever you're going through.
Yeah, for me, this is basically what we've been saying, but I've had to, and I haven't even done it yet, but I'm trying to learn how to not let my emotions rule over me, like we were saying. And so, like, Tim said something at worship night was like, you can trip without falling. That's kind of where I take it, is like, you can have the lows of your life and you can still be, like, I don't like using the word sad because it's just like, okay, but you can like feel certain emotions without that being your internal state, if that makes sense. Like
Sober, maybe?
yeah, like you shouldn't,
What'd you say?
Sober.
yeah, but like, I don't know how to word it.
She's saying if you like feel, it's like stepping out of the emotion and like
Yeah.
even if
You're seeing
in,
it.
Like,
yeah.
you can feel things without, the word I want to use,
Well, I think it's because
Yeah.
what you're trying to say is like you can see it, but you're
Yeah.
not letting it affect your response. You're
Yeah.
not letting it affect the way that you
like, that's not your
Respond to the
focus.
people, right.
Like, you can feel things and you can,
It's kind of
but you're not, marinating is the word I want to use, but that's just silly.
No, that's good.
you're not marinating in it.
In your emotions.
Like, you can feel the emotion, but you're not identifying as that emotion.
Yeah.
Like even being like, oh, I am angry is like identifying as it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm feeling an emotion, but that's not dictating how I act, I guess.
Yeah.
This is reminding me of bringing it into the context of the soul, because part of the soul is the emotions. So kind of putting it in that context, being like, okay, well, I'm not going to disregard this because this is what's happening. I'm not going to pretend it's not there, but it doesn't get to control me because it's not supposed to. It's not the
That's a
driver.
good point. Is like putting its soul in its place, putting the soul in its place, because like obviously we can allow the soul to be the beast that it is and just let it control the way that we respond and go about life. But I think what you're trying to say, are you saying that you're able to see that, like you're trying to do that in your life, where you're?
I
like,
am trying and I am not succeeding, but
But I
I'm
mean,
going
at
to
least you're
keep-
recognizing.
yes,
that.
recognition is the first step.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, our soul is a beast, especially involving our emotions. It's crazy how certain things with emotions can be so sudden too. Like I don't know, there's like
And blinding.
waves. Yeah, pretty crazy.
I was just noticing just today, like before, like while I was reading this today, I was thinking about how like this is pretty much what we just said, but like tying it into the true source of peace is that like if your soul, if your emotions are kind of like guiding you, or you're kind of stuck in them without a higher perspective, there's really no room for peace. Like, because I feel like peace is having like it's this anchor, like so then even when things are swaying around you, you're still steady. So when you don't have that anchor of surrendering your will, then you're gonna get blown around by your emotions.
I remember a picture like that Isaac shared a long time ago in one of the Culture Center classes, and Justin was having us like write short stories or like come up with ideas for them or something. But he was saying like a picture of peace for him is like you're in a car and everything seems to be moving fast around you, but it's quiet in the car. And I thought that was a neat picture.
Yeah, that's definitely part of like what me and Jane were talking about last night is like finding that balance. And I want to continue in that because it really changes the way, again, how you're going about your life through every season, every situation that comes to you. If you find that, and I guess that's definitely part of this is like finding the will of the Father and surrendering your will. And that's what brings that peace is that surrender, you know?
Because you're surrendering to His perfect will.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not getting stuck in the ideas of what we think a situation should be and letting the emotions control us, but actually being like, okay. And that's actually one thing I've done in the midst of what seems like chaos sometimes. I usually like using the restaurant as an example, but when things just like are constantly like not going in my way, I'm like, okay, what is the Lord doing here and how can I choose to respond differently? And once I like have that like pause, it kind of like resets me in a way, and I can actually think straight instead of just like allow my emotions and my way of thinking to get in the way of how I respond to people. And you know,
I think that ties into like trust in God, because surrendering your will to His and having that peace in circumstances because you're trusting in His sovereignty, because His will is perfect, and whatever happens goes according to His will, ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, I would even recommend like when like any of you guys are feeling super wound up in like even emotional, or like it feels like everything's just like the worst it could be in that moment, to really just pause and, you know, give it to the Lord, but be like, the Lord is doing things for a purpose and finding the root of what, you know, it's causing the emotion, you know, and why it's affecting you too. Because I feel like once you just like, you kind of just pause and you're not like running around like a chicken with its head cut off along with your emotions, you're actually stopping and thinking about the situation and slowing yourself down, you know? And I just would encourage you in that, because I've had a couple of times where I'm in those moments and I'm like, okay, how can I just chill out a little bit? Because I feel like and can still struggle with this, can just continue on in something and let it affect me to the point where I'm like overflowing with just, well, I allow it to fill me up in such a way that's not a good way, and then once I'm overflowing in my emotion and letting that spill out everywhere, you know? But yeah.
Often my peace, this is just like a personal thought, and I kind of want to see if you guys relate to it at all. Often my peace is stolen, I guess you could say. I let my peace be stolen by other people's lack of peace, or like their own emotional struggles that I witness. And because sometimes I tend to like carry other people's burdens too much, and that's a part of humanistic love that I'm coming out of. But like I've been recognizing recently when that piece is starting to be stolen from me because of somebody else, and like I kind of am able to ground myself again because I realize that. Do you, any of you, have that
Yeah.
kind of struggle?
I was just gonna say, I'm the same exact way. If anybody tells me anything that they're struggling with, I'll be like, I'll take it so much to heart that it'll be like consuming me, even though it's not even my problem.
I was actually thinking
It's
about
very
that a lot.
interesting. Yeah.
Because I'm the exact same way, in which, like, it's, like, unhealthy. And I don't understand what it is. Like, when somebody else is struggling, at least for me, I, like, feel as if I was in their place. And it's, like, and then, like, what do you even do about that?
We are to carry each other's burdens, but
Right, but not.
But there's a balance.
right, there is a balance,
Yeah,
and there's
exactly.
also
A right way to perceive it.
right.
Yeah.
Because you also want to allow the Lord to do what He needs to in someone's life, and not
Right.
just comfort them, but even for your own, like for your own self, carrying that burden. It's just giving that to the Lord, because it's some burdens you don't need to carry for
Right.
others. You know.
Because there's, like, being empathetic and carrying somebody's burden, but, like, to an extent, I don't think it's healthy. Because, I don't know. I don't
feel
even know
like
what I'm saying, but.
We need to, like, when I start talking about things like this, I don't even know what I'm saying. It's like hypothetical, but like being discerning about which burden like needs help carrying, or like we need to ask God and be like, is this something that I could help with if I help carry this burden, or am I just hurting myself?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Truly just giving the burden to the Lord as well, and not trying to even deal with it in how you think is right too,
Yeah.
because I feel like that is
That's actually
misleading.
another one of those like quote unquote obvious like points of reference or like simplicity that I realize is like, oh, if I'm confused about something, why don't I just ask God?
Right.
It just seems so obvious, but I mean,
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you bring that up because I was in Granny's working, and it was me, Esther, Benji, and Jaden, and me and Jaden were chatting about well, I was telling him that I have recently I haven't been having any meaningful dreams, and I feel like, I know this seems like it doesn't relate, but I feel like the Lord has spoken to me most through that. So I'm always looking forward to my dreams, but lately they haven't been seemed to be meaningful. But anyways, a day after that, I had a dream, and it seemed like it was very important. So I shared that with him, and I didn't even realize that the Lord was speaking to me because I wasn't asking. You know, I was just like expecting Him to speak to me instead of like wanting Him to, and I didn't even realize that He was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think too the Lord can speak in many ways. So
Yep.
expecting Him to even just speak through dreams
Right.
can be limiting.
Exactly.
Because again, you don't want to put God in a box.
Right.
He can speak to us in very, very many different ways,
Mhm.
even if it's through a dream or other things. So
and He does come to different people in different ways. So like that is a way that He does specifically come to Emma, but there also may be other ways that He comes to Emma.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to say He only speaks.
Yeah.
to
Right,
me,
right,
but
Yeah.
but that's my encouragement too,
Yeah.
is that He can be speaking in many other ways as well.
I think oftentimes he speaks by not speaking. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah.
'Cause for
Sometimes the
me,
silence will
That's
keep
how
us-
it's been. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, like if I have a fixated way,
for a while I had this fixated way that I thought God was going to speak, and it was like a dream, a vision, because that's what I saw other people getting spoken to by. But I had a conversation with Jaden, and I've talked about this, and I realized I see God in just the way my life is. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's not like specific words or things that I've heard from God, because I haven't really heard from God the way people would think you would. It's just like you have to stop and shut off your preference to see what he's actually doing.
I think that if you, like you're saying, if you change your perspective, you know, you can see that he is speaking to you in like so many different ways, you know, even through simple things like you said. It's kind of crazy how we miss it.
That's something that I've been recently, like, it's been really important to me is, like, when I'll see a time, like 1:11 I saw today, and I'm like, I really not wanted to take those for granted. Like, God is trying to catch my attention. He's trying to remind me of himself. Like I ask him to remind me of himself. So I'm like, okay, I use the opportunity of, like, seeing a time like 1:23 or something like that, or even if somebody else sees it, to, like, use that as a check to examine my own heart and mind. Where is my heart and mind right now? Is it placed correctly? And often it'll be distracted. So I thank the Lord for reminding me.
That's encouraging, because I feel like we need that a lot. I feel like it's so easy to get distracted, like you're saying. And I've found myself recently, well, numbers for one, but, like, finding myself, like, kind of coming back to the Lord and being like, I've been distracted. I need to. Yeah. But, like, I like what you said about getting your heart in the right place before him, too, and, like, checking where your heart is at. That's a cool mindset to have in a time like that, where you're, like, coming back to him in a way.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. Like, that's just crazy to think about, you guys. Like, how we should be living our life should be a constant relationship with the Lord. Like, everything for him. Like, literally, that is how you're living your life. Like, that's just crazy to think about. In some ways seems impossible, but I don't know. I believe that the Lord is gonna work on those who are willing to give their life in that way. And, like, that's crazy to think about. we can get there if we
Direct our wills. That's
yeah,
the only
exactly.
thing in our power.
Yeah. If we choose, we were given the choice to choose to give our life to the Lord. He will work on that in our hearts.
In a different way, that before I forgot about this letter talking about the direction of your will. And before that, I had heard it from some person mention the direction of your will, and I would think of it as, like, the path that you're taking in the mountains and valleys of life, because I get discouraged by being in a valley. Like, I'm not making any progress and stuff like this, but I have to, like, look at where am I heading?
Right.
Like, what's the grander scope of my life? So I don't have to be discouraged by certain seasons. But I don't know where I was going there. The direction. I think I was going somewhere with, like, now I can see a different perspective now of, like, what the direction of your will means. But I lost my thought. Sorry.
Good. Learn to be detached from the world and completely abandoned to God.
You know, that reminded me of what Tim said yesterday about how we don't realize that even something like our phone that we always have with us and that is always trying to get our attention is bringing that worldly culture into us when we don't even realize. It kind of convicted my heart a little bit, and I was like, why why am I conforming to that way? Because I think that recently I have been struggling with just stupid worries that should not be my concern as a son. And I don't really know how to get rid of that because it's always there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the things that we are allowing ourselves to feed on and consume is going to be who we are. And so really taking to heart what those things are is really important, and definitely the phone.
Yeah.
The phone is one of many, but a very big thing in our culture today that is
That we
distracting
miss.
us from a better way, a higher way that the Lord is desiring us to see. And that's a pretty big influence right there. I mean,
Who
I
would
mean,
have
we're
thought
kind
that
of in
such
a,
a
I know,
small thing?
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was actually talking to Isaac about that this morning, just about what we're letting ourselves feed on, what man is being fed, the fleshly man or the spiritual man. And it can be to the smallest thing that we do and think about. I mean, we are what we eat.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like, it's not like I'm just going to use scrolling as an example. It's not like we're trying to believe everything that's said, but when you invest your time in something so much, it's second nature to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're watching. It's what you're putting into yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
And even, like,
Well, what you consume, you become, like Naomi said.
yeah. And it's even just, like, I feel like even if you were looking outside of just a spiritual perspective, it's like you are shortening your attention span so much. Like, like I catch myself often. I'm like, this is silly again. Like, I'm just using silly things as
But
examples.
it's real.
Like getting bored watching a 60-second video. I'm like, what
You
if
know what's funny about you saying
what
that?
have I
was
done?
literally just thinking about that kind of concept in the car today. I'm like, just kind of thinking back then they didn't have cars. Like everything today is just so
quick and easy. Yep.
And like
think like fast
getting
food
into the car, like
restaurants.
imagine having to
Everything's
having to
convenient.
walk places. Like that's just crazy. I mean, you know, horses. But like
I know that it's nice that we have so many things in our hands, but I wish often that we could not have it that way.
I think it's because we take for granted our privileges.
Yeah.
I think if we learn to be grateful and keep our perspective of like people, plenty of people still today don't have the privileges that we have.
yeah, the slowing down has been on my mind too. Just really just slowing down your mind and like I think there are certain things that you can do is like meditating on the things of the Lord for sure, and there's just obviously not being on your phone and scrolling. Like I mean, there's just simple things and practices to really give your life to the Lord and slow down your crazy mind, or at least my crazy mind, because I can get so-
Literally last night I was laying in bed trying not to scroll because I was like, okay. And
She was like,
Because I was like, okay, we're done here.
and so I turned on music because I didn't know what else to do, and my music would not work. Like it would not work, and I was like, okay. And so I was like, wait, and I kind of just felt this thing that was like, just sit in silence. Like I just heard that, and I was like, okay. And I sat in silence for like 4 hours. It was kind of bad, but
4 hours, wow.
because I couldn't sleep. But I was like, what are you trying to do here?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too, is like just doing things in silence, because even like wanting to like watch something like while if I'm eating by myself, then I'll want to grab my phone, and it's like, why can't I just enjoy like what's in front of me? Like why can't I actually just be present and not feel like I have to be multitasking? Multitasking is a big thing because we can't like actually multitask. Like you have to give your attention
Healthily.
to something. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I remember one time. Well, not one time. I've done it many times. One time I took a moment when I was eating, and I put my phone away, and I was just like, just even thinking about. Okay, don't laugh.
What?
Just even thinking about like what's in my food, like what am I consuming, just
Yeah,
stuff like that.
smelling it. and-
Yeah, yeah, like what are the different smells? And it's just like,
Appreciating it.
yeah, you appreciate it more, but I didn't realize how distracted I was. It's very interesting how you can just miss the simplest but
So true.
very
Yeah.
enjoyable things.
Yeah.
One thing I always, and I've said this to Emma many times, I have appreciated about Emmanuel is his how he appreciated such small things, even in nature and stuff. It was just so sweet. You can see that on his Instagram too. He has so many posts of like just the beauty that you see in things.
Yeah, this morning I just don't really leave the house unless I'm like going somewhere. Like I don't go outside. And this morning I woke up unusually early and I just like stepped outside and it was like an indescribable feeling because it was just silent and it was just like I don't know how to describe it.
I had a very similar feeling
Yeah.
recently. I don't know what day it was, but I just went outside in the morning, and it wasn't completely silent because there were cars and Millie and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But it was just so peaceful and like, you can't really explain it.
Yeah,
but
it's just like
Different
I'm
kind
like,
of
I
peace.
should do this every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It's just like giving the Lord your day in the morning. I know we've talked about this before, but evening and morning is just like giving him that day and the difference that it makes. Like when we lay our heads down and when we get up in the morning and just that's the first thing that we do.
It's just so funny that I was thinking about all these things right before we came here.
It's no coincidence.
What do you think, Isabella? Have any thoughts?
I don't know.
No? Yeah, I've been I don't know, there's just like this joy that I don't really understand yet. That the Lord is just putting in my heart and like I don't know. I'm just I can't find the word in my head right now, but I'm just excited to see what he's gonna do. And obviously that comes with how we're choosing to give him our life constantly. But like if we really are doing that, like he's going to work in us, you guys. Like he's gonna work on a moldable heart. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes it can be scary because there's things that we either don't want to let go of or feel like we don't understand, but that's just all part of having faith is giving up what we think our life should be to the Lord. And that can be exciting because like we don't have to figure out our life. The Lord's in the Lord's hands, you know?
Yeah, and that's often the way that I can find peace is kind of assuring myself of like it's in a way like it's not like easier in a way, but in another way it sort of is because you don't need to worry about your future. Your future isn't in like your control.
Worrying is literally worthless.
Yeah, the other day, me and my mom were cleaning, and she came to me, and she was like, so you can start running start when you're 16. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you could start so soon. So, anyways, we were talking about that most of the day, and I was thinking about it and worrying. And the next day I was meeting with Kim, and she was just reassuring that I should not be worried about such things, but rather be excited for those things that come up.
The opportunities.
Exactly. And obviously, I'm not just gonna be like, oh, my mom told me to do this, so I'm gonna do it, you know, because if the Lord hasn't told me yet, then I'm not gonna jump into that. But I don't know. I'm not worried anymore, you know, about those kind of things that will come up. I'm excited, like you said. It's this intense excitement.
That's the word I was trying to find.
Anticipation.
Yep.
That it's just like there are things that come up that seem like they would bring me down, but I can't be sad. Like I can't. It's just this joy that I can't
I
describe.
know that's just the way I feel too.
Yeah.
Like it's like I can be sad, but not for long.
Yeah.
Because it's just like things just like
Exactly.
they should be joyful because like they'll.
The message
I just don't know
you
what
guys saying is like that you're delighting yourselves in the Lord. Like, yeah, that's the only way I can think of it. But.
That's exactly.
I feel like it's like delight because the Lord's will is being done even through the hard things.
Exactly.
Like it's never. I feel like when you're in that frame of mind, because I feel the same way. More recently is like the things that would bother me usually don't because I know it's His will, and His will is always good and perfect. And not to say other times I'm not, oh man, this sucks, but just being able to see that is really a blessing.
This is one of those questions that doesn't really have an answer. So, but like, how do you trust God? Like, I know that's like a very like broad question, but life is just like, life is scary. Because you don't know what's gonna, like, I'm just talking generally, you don't know what's gonna happen.
That is a good question.
It's like, I want to have faith, and I could say day and night that I have faith, but do I really? Like,
I think those times will come for us to test that in a way. You know, the Lord will test us to see where our faith is at, and that's when you know. Well, sometimes you can miss it, but that's where we practice our faith, you know, and our trust is when those hardships or things that we don't expect come about. How are we going to respond to that? And I think that's part of understanding, in a way, the trust, because if we're giving it to the Lord instead of letting it affect our flesh and our soul, you know, that's where we'll see it, I guess, in a way. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a full answer to that.
yeah,
but
there's not really an answer.
That
to
is
the
a good question to have. It's like, do I really trust in the Lord? You know?
I do want to touch on something. It's a little bit off, but it's not answering the question. But like, I felt that lack of faith in myself before, like when I really examined myself, and I've let that condemn me before. But like, don't let it condemn you, because Jesus said you only need faith as small as a mustard seed at the beginning, but then the mustard seed will grow if it's nurtured, if it's planted in the right soil. So like that, I had to not condemn myself with that knowledge. And then I think, I have to think about that more, but I feel like with the context that you're placing that question in, I feel like that's a conversation that I'd like to have with Elijah, because of where he's been placed recently, and talking about the fear of life and stuff like that. That just sounds like a very like a conversation that like he has a place in. I feel like
Going back to the faith or the trust idea, I'm reading this science fiction book, whatever. Anyways, there was one thing that one of the characters said that really stuck out to me, and it's like about trust. I took a picture of the page. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Belief isn't simply a thing for fair times and bright days, I think. What is belief? What is faith if you don't continue in after failure? Anyone can believe in someone or something that always succeeds, but failure, now that is hard to believe in, certainly and truly. Difficult enough to have value, I think. And that's just an interesting thing because I think it's very true.
And God doesn't fail, but sometimes it seems to us like maybe I'm not understanding the sentence, but like I think sometimes to our perspective something may seem like failure, but it's not failure to God. So that is another thing that we can have faith in, right?
It's just like if circumstances in life seem to fail, or
Yeah.
you're like you fail yourself, or things seem like that. It's like, well, not really. I don't know what I'm saying. But
Yeah, the faith that goes beyond failure. It's maybe.
That's interesting you say that. There is like a saying somewhere by some person was like, people can see the success, but they didn't, or they could see the success on the 100th try. They didn't see the failure of the other 99 or something like that. I thought that's a very good thought. And like you said, it's not necessarily failure in the sense I feel like we immediately think of when we think of that word.
Also, I feel like having faith in God connects a little bit to what Tim said. I might have been worship night and it might have not, but he said if you want to seek God, walk in his ways. And that struck me and it led me on an interesting train of thought because I was thinking about the word Shema, which means to hear and obey. But sometimes I'm not very sure of myself when I hear something. Like it's like Hattie was saying, it's often not like with words, but like given a direction for something. And I want to get better at like knowing what hearing is. Sorry, I went to like a whole different topic. But I know I have another question about like learning how to, I don't know how to word it. We're learning how to hear him better, I guess. Like when you hear him, knowing what that is, and then learning to be more confident when you do hear him. Like having assurance in what you're hearing.
Yeah, that's something I'm wanting to learn too. Like
Cause like that's like the beginning. All we need is like the previous letter we were reading is peace lies in simplicity and obedience. Like obey. That like that's, I don't know. Because faith is like trust that shows because of your actions. So like that takes obedience. Faith involves obedience and trust. So I suppose you can walk in God's ways when you learn of the order of his household and his culture. So that's a way of life. That's not a specific thing that he tells you, go do this. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go do that. It's more like a way of life, a pattern. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm reminded of what Elijah shared last night. Like, we're not from, well, obviously, we're from the house of our father and mother, but it's more of that, well, we're from the house of the Lord, and realizing that and having faith in that way of life, right?
Yeah.
That didn't really make sense.
No.
I'm trying to put my thoughts together.
I think
Yeah.
faith can be mixtured with what we want to have faith in.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like having faith in our own desire. Like, it should be more about, like, having faith in what the Lord desired from the very beginning. You know,
Right.
like having faith in
In his will, his plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Having faith
that's so
that
much
that
more than
is the
ourself.
best. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, it's a faith that's so much more than ourself.
You have to like assure yourself because your soul is so like strong and being like what I want will be
Right.
the most fulfilling. You have to like tell yourself, no, what God has planned, what His will is so much more fulfilling
Right,
than
and
whatever our
That's what I was trying to come to, like remembering what household we are a part of.
Yeah.
That can bring us that faith.
It's almost having faith in like in the hope of like
Mm.
letting go of ourselves. You know what I mean? Having
Yeah.
faith in like
being
and
free of
hoping that
self.
the Lord exactly like having faith in that, like desiring to get out of that.
Right.
And that being
And-
to an end, like it's not like we are willing to do the will of our Father because it frees us of ourself and we get to be part of His household. Like that in itself, being His son, Him being our Father, like that is the truest fulfillment, even if it's beyond our understanding.
Right. Mm. Yeah, just even knowing that should be reassuring enough.
Yeah. To me, it's encouraging to be around and hear from and know people who have really spent like their lives coming to know the Lord, because I still feel like I'm such a spiritual infant. So when I hear like Tim or Noah talk about God, like they just know Him so well. And I'm like, wow, I want to hear this person talk more, and I want to learn how they like spent time with the Lord and begin to like know Him intimately. I want to be intimate with the Lord in that way, because then I will more fully understand. I will never come to a full understanding in the flesh, but like not be in darkness in knowing His, I don't know, I don't have a complete thought there, but just like I feel like we should set our eyes on our relationship with Him and knowing Him more. That should be our priority, I feel like.
It is cool how when you like how you can be attracted to that way in someone.
Yeah.
Like that you just, it's almost like you don't almost realize that you're just like drawn to it when someone is like close to the Lord, or like,
Yeah.
it's just cool.
I think Kim is somebody who you can be really drawn to because of that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think even like, completely lost what I was gonna say. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, this is random, but on like what just happened to me now, I think recently, and like even with silly things like playing volleyball, I've been seeing those as new opportunities to like learn more about what humility is, and like learning to embrace even like what may seem like embarrassment, because it's, if I make a fool of myself, that's great because I get to learn how to be more humble, you know?
Right.
And I see how like even that goes against the nature of man. I'm learning more and more how like our default fallen nature is so far from God's perfect nature. But it's encouraging to know that when we do learn to walk in his ways and be part of his household, that will become a new nature for us. His nature.
She was just like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just been on my heart to share to people, just to, I don't even have much to say, but just to stay encouraged in the Lord, and don't let the small things of the flesh and, I don't know, just,
Disappoint you.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Lord has greater plans. The Lord is good in his way, and not in the way that we expect. It's not gonna, it might not look pretty, but stay
Vigilant.
right, but encouraged, because the Lord is working things out of us, and we need that, you know. We need to be drawn out of a way, and I don't fully understand, you know, what that is, but I desire to have my heart in the right place before the Lord, because, you know, things in the flesh are not easy. It won't be easy. Life is not easy. But to be encouraged as the spiritual beings that we are, and should be feeding, should be exciting, you know. I just encourage you guys to keep yourselves before the Lord and be near to him. I liked what Haley said earlier about just continually recognizing him and just bringing yourself before him constantly and being like, where's my heart at? And I don't know. I desire to be the light and the love of the Lord.
Me too.
And something that I was, oh my goodness, I keep losing my thoughts. Trying to remember. Oh yes. Like, don't, goodness gracious.
Don't worry.
Don't be discouraged by the weakness of your own flesh, because you're not going to be able to accomplish those things in your own flesh. The flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. Like, I was noticing just yesterday and today that I was getting discouraged because of my own weakness. Like, I was like, wow, I really lack discipline, and I want to be more disciplined. And I'm really struggling in that area, but although I still want to learn how to be more disciplined, I don't have to be discouraged by my current lack of discipline, because the Spirit is still moving and doing things. So, and as I focus myself on him, things will fall into place. And as I focus on him, then I will be more motivated, I guess, to take those steps.
Yeah, things don't just happen, again, super quickly. Sometimes things are a process and take time. And so don't be hard on yourself because of that.
Yeah.
I think is what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, it's natural for our flesh
right.
to be weak in
Yeah.
these things.
Allow our flesh to die. Like,
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything they want to share? Isabella, do you want to wrap us up in prayer today? No? Esther?
Sure. Father, it's such an encouragement to be able to witness and experience the way that you move through hearts who are seeking you. Lord, I pray that you would overflow those who are opening their lives for you, Lord, and who truly desire to be filled by you. Father, I thank you that we can trust in you and that you will never fail us. Lord, I pray that we would open our eyes and see that you are always ready and willing to lift us up and to bring us further. I thank you that we can just fully let go of our own lives and be fully given to you, Father. I pray that it would not be something that scares us, but rather that gives us joy and peace. I pray that you would give us your peace. I thank you so much for each life here. I pray that we would continue to open up to each other and be available for each other. I pray that you would stay heavy on our hearts, always. Amen.
Amen.
I didn't get hot. Did you guys?
No, actually.
I was a little at the
Oh, I
beginning,
am
but
red, though.
You're all right.